Hello, this is Nigel, Spiritual Renaissance uh, New Zealand Unleashed, or NZ Unleashed, and Spiritual Renaissance New Zealand. So it's Spiritual Renaissance NZ Unleashed, or Spiritual Renaissance New Zealand, and it is Friday the 15th of May. There's a few things I want to go over, and I was going to make a whole meeting thing, kind of make a nice video. But I just want to make a quick one. This is a quick way of doing it. So as you'll see on the screen, apparently banks are now not allowing cash withdrawals from a bank, only from FPOS machines, right? So you're still allowed to do them from FPOS, but not from an actual bank. Now I just saw this post. I haven't checked that out or anything, but what this does show is that things are moving pretty quickly, and they're trying to screw us down like thumb screws on, or boiling us like a frog or a crayfish, whichever one you call yourself, or don't, as the case may be, right? Um, so so things are moving fast, and we really need to, um, in my view, move faster. We need to actually be a step ahead of the curve. That's the curve they flattened. Yeah, right. So um, I'm not here to talk about flattening curves. I'm here to talk about your human rights and survival. Now, to today sorry. There's a few things I've got to mention here. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Saturday, the 16th of May, I am going to do a Zoom meeting, and anyone who wishes to be on that can. I'll put up a post afterwards, and you can express your interest on there, and I'll share the link onto it, and we can do a meeting. The meeting will be 40 minutes long. Will then end because you're only allowed 40 minutes at a time on a free account. It'll close. You'll then be provided a new link on Facebook on the same post for the next meeting, and so the meeting will continue within about 5 minutes after the first 40 minutes. Comprende? I hope so. Okay, so that meeting will cover the matrix. It will cover some spiritual data that I went over in my last meeting, and more. Just there'll be a question answer period as well. We did that. Seemed to work quite well. Um, uh, and I'll be going over the relationship of spirituality to this whole Agenda 21 thing and so forth, which is very much concerned with we'll be talking about our human rights under this, and our spiritual rights, if you like. So that meeting is Saturday, 10 a.m. Now today I went in, I made a video which is posted on the groups, and it is also on my YouTube channel, Imagination, which is IMAGNZATION. So it's got an NZ in the middle. So it's like imagination, but it's got a Z in there. Imagination. That's my YouTube channel. You can subscribe to it if you like, so that you can get any new videos I make. And the video was about how to protect yourself, your privacy, under the current situation, where you have to walk into shops and supply your name and sometimes address and phone number before they'll let you into the shop, which I believe some shops may be doing that incorrectly because they don't necessarily have to, but I'm unclear on the rules on that. And however, this method I have made, some of you will have seen the video already, works very well. And this morning, or this afternoon actually, I went into town and checked it out, tried it out on a few shops. Well, actually on two. One shop I didn't go to. I just chose not to. And some shops didn't require it at all anyway. Like might attend, you just walk in, and they don't have a problem. Um, but basically, what they did is the first one I went to was Paper Plus. There was a girl sitting at a desk, and she asked for my name and address and phone number. So I reached into my pocket, handed her a piece of paper, and said, "Here is my name, address, and phone number." It's in Russian, and she goes, "Look." I handed it to her. She looks at it and goes, "Oh no, no, that's not acceptable." And I said, "I have just legally complied with the requirement, your requirement, to supply my name, address, and phone number. There it is." I said, "I am now going to walk into your store," and I just started walking, right? And and she like this. She was taken back a bit, you know. Okay, I understand that. Um, And so I walked around a little bit. I didn't even want to go in there particularly. I just wanted to test the whole thing out. And so I looked around, and as I was leaving, she had run over to the main cashier desk, and she was asking advice from another senior lady. And I overheard the lady saying, "Oh, we'll just staple it to the book then, you know." And so it was, in other words, it was accepted. Um, she said, "Okay," you know, because I had provided it. They couldn't read it, but I had provided it. Now, to me, I am still complying with the law through this, and I'm not trying to, how do you say, get out of the law or anything like that. All I'm doing is legally complying with the law, but I am, there is no, I didn't see any requirement for it to be in any particular language, so you can choose whichever language you like. Go to Google Translate, translate your name into that language, copy and paste onto a document and copy it many times so you've got many of them on one document, and then put them through the printer, print them off, and then you just slice them up and hand one to each time that they require it. Now, you don't actually, by the way, if they say, "Oh no, I need it written in this book," right? You say, "No, here it is. I have provided it, right, legally, and I don't need to write it in the book because I have actually followed the legal requirement to actually provide my name, address, and phone number," right? Um, and if they and so that was that one. I went to Posty Plus, which is a clothing store. Most of you ladies will know very well, for all the bargains. And again, there was a lady at the desk, at a desk right at the front door, and she asked for my name um, and phone number at that one, just the phone number. So I pulled it out. I had two lots, one with name, address, and phone number, and one with just name and phone number. And I gave it to her, and she said, and I said, "Here it is." And she said, "Oh, well, I can't read it. Can you spell it for me?" And I said, "I refuse to spell it." I said, "I have legally complied with your request to supply my name and phone number. And so if you would like to." So she was like, sort of, you know, this again, reaction. And so she said, "Oh, something about, oh, don't bother." And I thought she was turning me away, and I said, "Well, if you like, I can take you to court on this, and make an official complaint, you know." And and she goes, "Oh no, 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 you can go in, right?" But on, you know, just refining that video a little bit, I thought that what you could actually say is, you know, say, "I'm providing you with my name and address and phone number as legally required, and I do not wish to, I refuse to spell it out, right? There it is, you can see it, and I have legally provided it, right?" And if they refuse at that point, you just say, "Okay, you know, you be kind and be friendly and so forth, right? So, but okay, well then I have no other choice but to take you to. I will be taking you to court if you wish to go that way, and for discrimination, uh, for my choice of writing it in Russian or whatever language, right, to protect my privacy per the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And we can argue it out in court. Now, and then, if you have the balls to do so, take them to court, right? Because uh, if we all do this, then, you know, the courtrooms are going to be what? Full of people taking companies to court for not providing the name in the right language. What we need to be doing right now is fighting for our rights. And this brings me to the next point um, of this video. Well, there was another little tag on thing that I was thinking of. I see, I get all these ideas floating around, and I'm like trying to remember them all. Damn. So by all means, be polite in this thing anyway. There's no need to be rude. They're just trying to do their job, and you're just trying to do yours, right? So, yeah. So it is a privacy issue to protect our human rights, and I think that was mainly what I was kind of getting at. Probably think of it afterwards and go, oh damn, I should have said. Okay. Uh, but things are moving rather fast, and you know, I would say they're going to come out with this tracking card fairly soon. They may push that through. The government is already looking at spending $100 million, and this is all on mainstream media available. By the way, if you haven't heard of this already, a tracking card. The New Zealand government is looking at a tracking card. It's going to cost $100 million to implement the scheme. You will all be sent one by the post with your number, your name, and uh, theoretically they may actually try the ultimate trick, which would be to require any shop to only allow you in if you have your tracking card. Now that would be nasty, and that would be definitely pushing in on our uh, privacies uh, per the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is a United Nations document which says that you do have the right to your privacy and the right freedom of movement and so forth within your own country and following the laws and so forth, right? But when they start entering draconian laws, totalitarian laws, and so forth, then it becomes another story, and we actually have to start fighting for that. I noticed that people were quite electrified, quite overexcited out there today. It looked a little bit crazy. Now, before this moved down to level 2, things were looking sort of fairly, people were starting to relax and so on. But I noticed that since it's, since it's become level 2, people are on edge again. There's been another change and they're not used to it and they're not quite sure how to act and so forth. So they're all a little bit agitated, and me included, just a little. Um, I'm agitated because they're agitated. Agitation and aggravation and so forth is, how do you say, it's contagious, very much contagious. Anger's contagious. And so this is why, we try to actually stay rational. I used to get real angry about things, but I work hard to to be social about things and so forth. Right. So what I was going to say next is I really think, and my wife and I were discussing this. We just went for a short walk, and we were discussing the future. And I do believe that you really need to start making some plans as to what you will do if the crunch comes to the crunch. And what I'm talking about is if mandatory vaccination, for example, is declared, or even if this tracking card comes out and you are not permitted to go into a shop without using that tracking card, you have to decide now, what are you going to do about that? How are you going to act on that and so forth? Um, I'm not totally closed on what I'll be doing with that tracking card. If it stops us from going into shops, I really will have a big problem with that. And the very first things I'll be doing is contacting my local MPs, and I'll be making a lot of noise about it. But uh, okay, and I don't necessarily think that I'll be agreeing to it. Um, I'm not very happy about that idea at all. That a New Zealand citizen should now, be tracked around the country when we're already citizens. Anyone who's in this country has already been accepted. If you came from overseas, has already been accepted into the country by the New Zealand government officially. Right? There's nobody here who's, well, there might be one or two, I don't know, but you know, for the most part, there's nobody here who is here without being allowed, right? We are all legally entitled to be here, and for all of us New Zealand citizens, um, there should be no reason for the government to actually require that we are identified in every location that we move. Um, it just gets ridiculous. I mean, the other point on that is we could actually start pushing them if they want to go that way and say, well, I will require somebody to be in my house right now to see when I move from the dining room to the lounge, and when I move from the lounge to the dining room. And let's see if they can provide that person to do that. Because if they can't identify us moving from one room to another, then they're not doing their job, are they? I mean, it's just crazy, this whole thing. Anyway, I don't. Of course, it's not going to happen, but I'm just pointing out the silliness of this whole thing. But let's just waive that one for the moment, the tracking card, and let's say, okay, that they suddenly announce mandatory vaccination is required by everyone right now. Like this is possibly sometime in the future. What are you going to do right at that moment in time? Right? Well, I suggest that what you do is you have a plan A and a plan B at least for that eventuality. Uh, my wife and I may actually move out of the country at that point. Because my wife is Russian, she's a New Zealand citizen, but she is also Russian, and we are looking into claiming refugee status with the Russian embassy here. That the government has become totalitarian, and we, like if this came to mandatory vaccination, that we are, being forced into a corner and ask for protection. Now, there's just one possible scenario, one possible solution. There are other ones that we've considered as well. But I invite and suggest every one of you, you know, consider your options, consider and make some sort of plan as to what you might do in that circumstance, because this government is quite out of control. It's quite corrupt, very clearly through its policies. It's already broken the law by announcing a lockdown, so forth, when it actually wasn't legally permitted to do so, apparently, right? The Prime Minister has also lied in public about the coronavirus deaths, which were actually multiple, um, you know, people with multiple different illnesses, and to actually try to claim that coronavirus killed a person when there were other issues that actually killed them, is actually fraudulent. Um, and there's more issues on that. I'm not the only one who's saying this either. There are national MPs and so forth who are actually crying out about the invasiveness of these laws. So make a plan and have some kind of ideas. What are you going to do with your belongings, your property, if you like? What are you going to do with your pets? What are you going to do? Um, just figure that out for yourself. Um, so that's really I think about all I was going to do, and I had a plan to go out and cut some wood, but it's already getting dark. Bugger. Okay, well, that's all for now. We'll get this video posted. So have a good night and stay safe. But don't lose your cool with these people uh, because you could end up in much more trouble. Um, and I know what I was going to say. I remembered it, right? And that is, some people have said that they put a different name, like they just gave a fake name and a fake phone number when they went into a shop. Um, and I would rather not do that when I can legally comply by doing what I just told you, writing it in another language, right? Which does legally comply. It could be argued it's evading the law. However, um, it could also be argued that that this whole thing is breaching the universal our universal human rights, right? It's breaching that, and so certainly in court it could be arguable, and I am willing to take that opportunity to fight for my rights, and I would rather not be in court for lying about my name and my phone number, which really wasn't my name and phone number. Um, you know, let's just have our integrity, be honest, right, and stand up proudly because we don't have to go hiding what we're doing. This is clearly a breach of human rights. I'll leave it at that. Have a good night, and as I say, Saturday morning, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. I will be having a Zoom meeting. I'll be posting the link for it shortly, well, within the next hour or so, and I'll see you there. Stay safe. Okay. Now, am I going to get this bloody closing thing right? Good evening.